Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to try to make this as brief as possible, give you the information that you need to know without wasting too much time, okay? Now, what we're going to talk about here in this video is the Robotaxi event coming tomorrow afternoon. Now, what's fascinating about this event is there's a lot of different expectations out there. Some investment firms believe that Tesla's going to have a 2-door robotaxi. Some believe it's going to be 4 doors. Some believe we're going to get the start of the robotaxi network in 2025. Some believe it's not till 2026. Some believe it's not till 2027. And some firms believe we're not going to get guidance at all out of Tesla for the start of the robotaxi event. In fact, some firms think Tesla's already testing robotaxis, or at least capabilities, in certain cities. Like, there's a wide range of expectations just based on that alone. And as I've said here on this channel before, I'll just give it to you straight up. If we get guidance for the Robotaxi network, great. What I mean by guidance is not the total addressable market, not the big numbers that you're going to see, but when do robotaxis start? When are we actually going to get Tesla doing taxi rides, essentially? If it's in 2025, that's good. And I think Tesla stock will be rewarded for that. If it's in 2026, I don't think Tesla stock will do well following the Robotaxi event. If we don't get guidance at all, then I don't think Tesla will do well following the Robotaxi event's conclusion. Now, we could go into depth on why that is, but long story short, Wall Street, they don't look out that far. Okay, Wall Street wants things within the next 2 to 4 quarters. If you don't fall in that 2 to 4 quarter range, you're not going to get much benefit of the doubt from Wall Street's perspective. Now, perhaps we get a mix of, maybe we start operations in 2025 and we scale more in 2026. That would be seen as good news. Okay, my personal thought around this is I don't see why Tesla would have a Robotaxi event in October of 2024 if we're not going to get robotaxis until the first or second half of 2026. No, that just doesn't make sense to me. And what makes sense to me, what may or may not happen, but what makes sense is we're getting this event October 10th, 2024. We're probably going to get a launch of robotaxis in some capacity by about midway through 2025. If not, Tesla may already be, testing robotaxis in, certain cities. Okay, that's kind of my expectations. Again, it doesn't make sense to have this event and then it's going to be a long time, 12 plus months before we're even thinking about deploying robotaxis. Now, Wall Street is generally expecting to see the application for the Robotaxi network actually get a demo of that. So it's going to be in a controlled parking lot. We know it's the Warner Bros. Parking lot. And we're probably going to get a controlled demonstration of a Robotaxi ride. Now we'll see if that's impressive or not, if Tesla, does good or not. Like if the Tesla car were to do something wrong, let's say, like Google's chat assistant did during their presentation, that would obviously be really bad for Tesla. Assuming all goes well there, I really don't think that is a positive or negative catalyst. I think it's pretty well expected that we'll get a demo and see the launch of the app for the Robotaxi. We're also expecting to hear some pretty lofty numbers as far as total addressable market and the market share potential of Tesla here. I think that's pretty well known already. I really don't think that's going to be much of a catalyst either. Now, probably the biggest wild card of all, besides the guidance question from Tesla, is what does the Robotaxi look like? Is it 2 doors? Is it 4 doors? I think 2 doors is a problem because if you're thinking in terms of total addressable market, what percentage of, let's call it Uber rides, are only 2 passengers? Well, just to save you the time and getting the data, about 35% of Uber rides have more than 2 passengers. Okay, so right there, you're kind of excluding a chunk of the potential market just by only having 2 doors. Now, The markets will also be interested in what the margins could look like for the robotaxi vehicles, right? Projected margins, what are the costs to make these vehicles, and if there's going to be any link between the robotaxi vehicle and a Model 2. And that's also why I think a two-door robotaxi could be seen as bad news, because then Wall Street might say, is the next gen low price Tesla only going to be a two-door vehicle as well? Again, that kind of restricts the market for Tesla. If you're like me and you're a single dad and you got 2 kids, you're not going to be able to get a lower price Tesla, the Model 2, if we want to call it that, period. Because you got 2 other passengers. If it's only 2 seats, I'm excluded from that market. And so would a lot of other people. So two-door robotaxi, that's one thing. But Wall Street will start to say, is the Model 2 only going to have 2 doors too? And that would be a disappointment. Now, it was, what was it, RBC that came out today? No, it was Truist Bank that came out today and said the robotaxi's going to have butterfly doors. So it's going to have nice, fancy doors that go up, kind of like a Lamborghini. But you're only going to, or I guess maybe the Model X kind of fashion. We'll have to see. I don't think that really matters too much. It will be cool nonetheless, but Wall Street will be turned off by only 2 seats. Again, there is speculation that we may get an announcement for the lower price Tesla vehicle. Like, for an example, when Tesla is going over the specs of the robotaxi, let's say, Elon might say, this is the framework that we are going to launch the Model 2 from, or the lower priced vehicle from, and we should be able to launch both of these at the same time. And let's say we get guidance for the second half of 2025. That's going to kind of be like Tesla saying, expect the Model 2 around the same time as the robotaxis. Again, midpoint 2025 is my estimate. That would be really good news. In fact, the biggest catalyst for Tesla in the near term, a lot of Wall Street is speculating, is actually the lower priced Tesla vehicle, because that's something that is easy for Wall Street to model. It's something that, makes sense, right? If Tesla delivers, let's call it 500,000 Model 2s at this price with this margin, this is what it'll do to EPS. It's easy for them to model that. So in fact, in the near term, the biggest beneficiary or catalyst for Tesla stock is probably going to be the lower priced Tesla vehicles. Now, longer term, it's obviously all about robotaxi, and maybe Wall Street will start to understand the potential impact that robotaxi will have, because really what differentiates Tesla between Waymo, for an example, is Waymo is owner operating these Waymo vehicles. It's not as ideal. Now, they're in select cities, which is different from Tesla's approach. Once Tesla is able to, Tesla can launch globally if they want to, and have owner-operated, citizen-operated Teslas doing robotaxi rides, but taking a revenue share of that. So imagine something like Google, where they take a % of revenue off of each video. Okay, great. Imagine that with robotaxi rides, potentially globally, or in large segments of markets in different countries. Then you're going to have some really good margins, and Tesla's basically just operating the network and collecting their money. That's where the real cash cow aspect of robotaxi comes in. If Tesla does a good job explaining that, then I think that could get more people excited about Tesla, because that's a totally different way to potentially model Tesla. And again, it may start to become more real or feel more real to Wall Street coming tomorrow. So yes, I think there's a lot of nuances here between what we are expecting, what some firms are expecting, what retail is expecting, and maybe what we actually get. Just to be clear, I'm expecting a launch of the Robotaxi network at some point in 2025. If we don't get guidance on that, that's going to be negative for Tesla stock. To be clear, I'm expecting Tesla to showcase the Robotaxi application in the phone. I think it's pretty clear that it's going to be that We Robot circular kind of invitation that we've been getting. Probably going to hold that down and summon a Tesla, right? We're going to get a demonstration of that coming tomorrow. That's pretty much a foregone conclusion. I think we're going to have a 4-door robotaxi tomorrow, or at least I'm hoping for that. If we have a 2-door robotaxi, that's going to be bad, and Tesla stock is not going to like that. Again, because you're excluding certain portions of the Robotaxi market. You're lowering your total addressable market just by only having 2 seats rather than 4, or rather than 5, or rather than 6 potentially, right? So I think that would be problematic, and really not just for the Robotaxi, but Wall Street's going to kind of say, hey, this is going to be the Model 2 platform as well. So if you're only looking at 2 seats for the Model 2, you're not going to sell big numbers of those. That's the fact of the matter, because I mean, again, even like myself, I could not buy a Model 2 even if I wanted to, and it made sense for me to do that because I have other passengers that travel with me. Okay, so I think that is actually a big deal, whether it's 2 doors or 4 doors. I'm hoping for 4. It could be 2. If it's 2 doors, Tesla stock likely sells off. Now, again, as I said earlier, whether or not there is some kind of problem in the actual demonstration, if the vehicle messes up or something, then obviously that would be a bigger problem for Tesla stock, although I don't think that's expected. Now, I do think with all of these things going on, things Wall Street is paying attention to, there is obviously a strong bull case, but there's obviously a strong bear case as well. Imagine if Tesla does not give us definitive guidance, and imagine if we get a 2-door Robotaxi. Then you're going to have a pretty upset Tesla stock. And I would imagine Tesla could sell off 10% tomorrow in that scenario. Now, again, my expectation is we will get guidance for the second half of 2025. And I'm kind of torn between a 2-door or 4-door Robotaxi. Truist told us 2 doors. I don't think that makes sense. I would hope Tesla and Elon have the common sense to do at least 4 doors. So that's not my expectation. But in this worst case scenario, Tesla stock would fall 10% tomorrow. That would put Tesla at about $218 per share. And the fall would actually be like tomorrow and after hours, if not really on Friday itself. Now, if I'm correct, and we get a expected launch for the Robotaxi in 2025, if Tesla shares these great numbers, these great specs, and essentially, what this could do for Tesla's financials, we get a 4-door Robotaxi, and again, expected launch in 2025, I would expect Tesla stock could go up 10%. Tomorrow and after hours, if not on Friday. That would put Tesla at $268 per share. Now, if we get any kind of new information about the lower priced Model 2, presumably, again, the same platform the Robotaxi will be built on. And again, that's why 2 or 4 doors is so important for the Robotaxi. Okay, because that would be unlikely for Tesla to, let's say, do a 2-door Robotaxi and then a 4-door Model 2, because that would be completely different production lines. That would be a production disaster. Let's just say that, unless you built out a lot more capacity to do Robotaxis on one line and do Model 2 on the other, which it wouldn't make sense at this point to do just Robotaxis on one production line, because I mean, it's going to take a while for regulatory approval to expand to different cities. So whatever we get tomorrow with the Model 2 is likely what the Robotaxi is probably what the Model 2 is going to look like as well. So if all goes well there and it's a 4-door and we get the guidance for 2025, then I could see Tesla stock rallying 15%+. 15% upside would put Tesla stock at about $281 per share. And that would be my expectation, between 10 and 15%. Now, I would expect as well, if that were to happen, we would get a larger short squeeze. You would see more option activity head into Tesla stock, and we would probably continue a rally from there. It wouldn't surprise me if Tesla just rallied to all-time highs, like if this event was as good as it theoretically can be. Now, heading into tomorrow, I just want to say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Good news is Tesla stock is kind of sold off in the last week and a half or so. You've kind of sold off now about 8.5%. So you're better priced for maybe a slight disappointment upon the Robotaxi event. I don't know. There's really a lot of different variables and things that can happen here. If you're scared, well, hedges could make sense. 1 put for every 100 shares that you own. Yes, you do give up some upside because you're going to lose on the puts, but it could protect the downside if you are concerned about the downside. If you're not in Tesla as much and you think Tesla could really rally after the Robotaxi event, buying a call or two also doesn't hurt, maybe, depending on your financial situation. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial planner, but these are the moments where options were designed for, right? Like, options were not designed to be some kind of gambling, just speculative YOLO type thing. They were designed for these kind of events where there can be big moves in either direction to either hedge your position, hedge your bets, or, well, capture upside. And I think right now would be a good example of when options would make sense, even if you're a longer term investor in Tesla, and maybe you want a better buying opportunity. Who knows? A lot of potential ways to use options heading into tomorrow. So if you guys want to come check out the trading community, check that link out down below in the description of this video. Come trade with us live in real time. Gonna get some pretty cool things over there. You got a newswire that's coming in. It's stupid because Twitter, part of where you get a lot of news from Twitter, they when Elon bought it, he took out the basically like the widgets that'll send feeds to newswires. So that was a little disappointing, but did finally find a workaround for that. So coming in the next day or two, going to have a customized newswire that will be free for members in the trading community. So definitely check that out if you guys would like to. Nonetheless, enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.